we have finished the cuff, and we've done the hand, and it's time to remove 7 stitches for our thumb. And I like to remove the 7 stitches centered on the first peg, because I feel like that just gives me all of the seaming or any jogs. It would go right behind your thumb when you put the gloves on, and I kind of like that placement for them. But you can remove your 7 pegs wherever you want your thumb to be on the glove. So in order to do that, what I like to do when I get to the last stitch on the 20th round is I just like to go ahead and knit off a few more, about 5 or 6 more, just so that when I'm removing stitches, it will anchor down that working yarn and I won't have to worry about it. So the way I do it is, this is the first one, so I like to use these little stitch markers. They're great because they're like safety pins, so they're super easy to use. They really hold on to the stitch, and I can just go ahead and take the stitch right off and it will be held in place, and then when it comes time to put them back on a peg, it's super easy. I can just use it to manipulate that stitch however I need to. I just put those on to 7 stitches, 1 on the first peg and 3 stitches on either side of the first starting peg. And I like to put them on all the stitches first before I start removing the stitches, so that I'm not pulling the stitches out of whack, like they're now becoming super stretched or super tight, because as you remove them it will tug on the rest of the yarn on that row. And I like them to be, you know, uniform, so I'll go ahead and start on the ends, and like I said, you can just use these little stitch markers to just go ahead and lift those off. And there's my 7 stitches. After they've been removed, just grab them carefully and tuck them underneath my work, so as I knit they're going to be out of the way. And then we're going to go ahead and finish knitting off this row, and I'll show you what to do when you come back to this empty peg. I'm refilming this segment of how to cast on those thumb loops. I'm hoping that the black and white will show this technique a little bit better. So to begin, you want to go ahead and take the yarn over around the first peg, just right in front of it. Then you place the paracord over the yarn in the back, so it's just resting over the top, and bring that yarn around the paracord and loop it in front of the next peg, and then pull the paracord up to catch the yarn, and then bring it around the next peg. So I'm just winding it around the paracord in the back. And then you want to lift the paracord up so that it is caught by the yarn. Then wrap the next peg. Wrap it around the paracord again. And then wrap the next peg. And it doesn't matter if you bring the paracord up or put it down, just as long as it gets wrapped around paracord in the back and then around the front of the peg in the front. It really doesn't matter. I just find it faster and easier to kind of do it this way. And then when you get to the last one, you're not going to go back over the paracord. You're just going to go ahead and float it in front of the peg like we did on the first one, and knit the next stitch next to it so that it's locked down. So you can see now what I've done is just basically gone around the pegs, around the paracord in the back, around the peg, around the paracord. Just kind of looped it back and forth, back and forth. So basically I've caught the paracord in the ladder areas of the stitches. And that's why I use paracord, because it will maintain its shape. It can butt up right against the back of those stitches and not totally collapse or pull that loop forward into your stitching. And when we come back around, we'll go ahead and just knit these like regular stitches, and I'll show you, even though this is the mock-up, you'll see this in the video, how to do it with the real glove. So when you get to the loose stitches, you're just going to go ahead and knit over them like regular knit stitches. You're not going to take the paracord out until the very end when you're getting ready to make the thumb, after the rest of the glove is finished. So as you work, that paracord will just go down into the work and be stuck into those loops. So there you have it cast on, and you've started the next round. So you can see now how the paracord is down inside there, and it's got these loops around it now. Those are what you're going to capture and place back on the pegs, and those will become part of your thumb. So those are the stitches that you'll want to use in creating your thumb. Put a thumb in our glove. And to do that, I'm using another set of these little stitch markers, and I'm going to use a different color. Now, this is very dark, but you can see these yarn loops over the paracord. So we just want to make sure that each one of these loops gets an individual marker. Once they're all on there, I just go ahead and pull that paracord out. So we have our cast on loops, and we have our loops that we removed. Now what we need to do are side stitches. So we're going to take this leg from the stitch next to this row. Just going to pull that up. That will create a new stitch, no holes, so we know that's the right one. We go down to the bottom, the stitch next to this row. Going to grab that leg. Pull that over. I think I split it. Yep. Pull that over. Doesn't create a hole. That's a good stitch. Then the middle, since we're just working with a ladder, we want to grab that leg, pull it over the ladder, and there's our other stitch. So now we have all of the stitches we're going to place back onto the loom, and I'll show you how to do that. For this part, I really love using an adjustable loom like this, and you're going to want to use the same gauge. So you want to just kind of fold your glove so you've got the thumb hole opening like this, and then squish it like this so that you just have as little bulk as possible. And you're going to insert that into the bottom of your adjustable loom. And what I like to do is place the stitches that we removed. I like to place those first, because those are the most important stitches to me. And I like to go ahead and start with that one because I know it's on the side of the thumb. I want my start and my end to be on the side. We just take each of these and place them on a peg, making sure to be careful so that we don't twist any stitches. Now the side ones I like to put together. So I do the bottom side, top side, and then the second top side over this one. I'm going to do this along the sides as evenly as possible until I'm down to the last two. And I'm down to 2. So I'm going to go ahead and move this in, line it up with my other loops, tighten it up, and then put these last 2 on. And then push down on the top, make sure that all of those loops are really securely on the loom. And then I start to remove the stitch holders. The last ones, so I can be extra careful with those. And now that is ready to make a thumb. So, starting peg, we take the color we're going to use for our thumb, and I've decided to just go ahead and use the same charcoal gray that I used for the hand of my thumb. And I'm going to leave a long tail, even though I'm hoping that there won't be any holes. There could be. I'd rather have a long tail to work with than to have to add more yarn. Okay, just put the loop on the starting peg and knit it off very carefully. I'm going to stick that starting yarn tail down into the glove, and this is usually pretty tight, so it helps to assist holding that nice and tight, but you might still need to snug that up. And then I just go around and knit as usual. Here we are to the stitch with the 2 on it, and when I have knit 2 together I usually like to do them one at a time. It's just easier. I'm not fighting with anything, I'm not popping stitches off. It's just way easier for me to do it like that. Okay, I'm down to the last 2 pegs with stitches on them for my bind off. Just going to go ahead and finish this up. Cut an extra long tail just in case we need to sew up some holes, which hopefully we won't.